Hello everybody, how are you? It's good to see you again, and I'm happy that you can see me today. So I have a great lesson for us today. We are going to talk about present continuous. So before we talked about present simple, today we'll talk about present continuous, and we'll talk about when do we use present simple and when do we use present continuous, how they're different. So I hope we have a lot of fun today. All right, so let's take a look at our lesson. Here we go. Okay, so first, just a reminder, if you want to be a premium subscriber, you can go to www.smartenglish.com/live. And then if you put /live again, it'll take you to the page where you can sign up to be a subscriber. Subscribers get extra stuff. For example, you can get homework and feedback, quizzes, things like that. All right, but you can always watch for free too. Okay, and if you're a subscriber, you have access to the Smrt website. And if you want to follow along on the website today, go ahead and click Me, click Open, and then click Unit 2, Everyday Life. So again, today we're going to talk about present continuous. And if we have some time at the end, we'll look at some more vocabulary. All right, are we ready to get started? Let me just check the comments real quick and make sure we don't have any questions. All right, it looks like everything's going great, and I'm so glad that the camera is working today. Also, I learned how to fix that problem too. I asked the tech guys to explain it to me. So in the future, hopefully it will never ever happen again. Okay, so here we go for present continuous. Okay, so present continuous, let's look at an example. Here's an example sentence. Oh, let's see, my head's in the way, so let me just move that real quick. It says here, Chris usually wears glasses, but he isn't wearing them right now. So you can see that over here in the green color, it says wears. That's an example of present simple, because remember, present simple is just the verb with S or no S for the positive. Over here behind my head, so let me move my head again. All right, we have present continuous. The blue and the orange together make present continuous, isn't wearing. So a special trick for knowing continuous, in English, continuous always, always, always has ing. So continuous always has ing. That's for present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, present perfect continuous, always, always ing. The only thing that's different for present or past or future or present perfect is the be verb. The be verb in this sentence is isn't. So for present continuous, we use the present be verb. The present be verb is am, is, or are. All right, let's go a little bit further. So this is the form. The form is how to make this grammar point. So it says here, the present continuous can be made with be, and the present be, not past, and a verb in its ing form. To make the ing form, you just take verb 1, the infinitive, and add ing. Like go, went, gone. Go is our verb 1. So we add ing, going. Or eat, ate, eaten. Eat is our verb 1. So we say eating. All right, let's look at some examples. Here we go. First, some positive sentences. So for the subject I, we use am for the present be verb, or the short form is apostrophe M. And then for you, we, and they, we use are, or the short form is apostrophe RE. And for he, she, or it, we're going to use is, or the short form, apostrophe S. All right, so for example, I am learning, or I'm learning. You are learning, you're learning. He is learning, he's learning. Just like that. All right, so let's look at how to make the negative form. Here we go. Negative sentences. So the negative is very, very similar to making negative sentences with the be verb in present simple. It's just after we put our verb ing. So we say, I am not, or I'm not, learning. You are not, you're not, or you aren't learning. Or he is, he's not, or he isn't learning. So just like for present simple be verb, but again, after we're going to put our verb ing. Okay, we just have one more thing to talk about for form, and that's questions. Well, questions and their answers, of course. They're short answers. So let's start with yes or no questions. Here we go. Yes or no questions. All we do is we switch how we make the positive sentences. So let's go back to the positive for just a moment. So positive sentence, we say, I am, you are, he is. For the question, we just switch. I am, we switch to am I. You are, we switch to are you to make the question. So we just take our auxiliary verb, our be verb, and move it to the beginning. That's all, the only change. So am I working? Are you working? Is he, she, or it working? Are we, are they working? Good. And here's how to answer these questions. For short answers, we just repeat the be verb after we say the subject. So we say, I am, you are, he, she, it is, or again, we, they are. For no, we say the subject, the be verb, and then we just say not. So I am not, you are not, he, she, it is not, or we, they are not. All right, I'm just going to check the chat to see if we have any questions so far. All right, good. So it looks like everybody's following along, so very nice. I just have one more type of question to talk about. So our last type of question is not a yes or no question, but a question that uses a question word. So questions with question words. A question word is like how, what, why, when, where, who, like that. So we make questions in exactly the same way as yes or no questions. You know, am I working? Are you working? Is he, she, or it working? It's just at the very beginning, we are going to add a question word. That's all. So we just add how, and then I say, am I doing? Or what are you doing? Like that. Very, very easy. Actually, in many ways, present continuous is a lot easier than present simple because the only thing that really changes is the be verb. So if you know which be verb goes with which subject, like I am, you are, he, she, it is, like that, it's very easy to make this grammar. All right, so that's the easy part. The hard part, of course, is when do we use, how do we use present continuous? So let's take a look. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here to the use of present continuous. It says here, the present continuous is used to describe things that are happening now. So let's look at some examples. Our first example is the dog is sleeping. So we can see in this picture that right now the dog is sleeping. Does the dog always sleep? No. Usually the dog is awake, right? It's just right now he is sleeping. So we're not talking about always or usually. We're talking about right now. I think we have another picture. It says here, we are working. So you can see here, the people in the picture are working right now. Not always, just right now. Okay, let's look at another picture. And this is a question. It says, what are you doing? This doesn't mean what do you usually do. This is asking about right now. What are you doing right now? So for example, I am teaching, you are studying or listening or watching or maybe typing some notes. All right, so we're talking again about now. And one more question. So why are you crying? Oh, that's a sad question. It's a sad picture. So why are you crying? Of course, she's not usually crying. He's asking because she's crying right now. He uses continuous because he's asking about right now. All right. Okay. So it says here, as we studied in Grammar 2-1, the present simple describes habits, routines, and facts. The time focus is all the time. The time focus of the present continuous is now. Okay, so let's slow down a little bit. Let me go to our note page for today and we'll write some examples here. Okay, so here again is the form for present continuous, in case you need a reminder. Okay, and then right here, I'm going to put a few notes. Okay, present simple, you remember, talks about things like habits or facts. Things that are true all the time or usually. So present simple again is for habits or facts. things that are true all the time or usually. Present continuous is different. Present continuous we usually use to talk about now, or, and we'll get to this in a minute, things that are true for just a short time. So things that are true for just a short time. Like in the picture of the woman who was crying. Let's go back and look at that picture. She doesn't cry all the time. If she cried all the time, he would ask, "Why do you cry?" But he's asking about right now. She's crying for just a short time, right now. Does that make sense? Okay, let me take a look at the comments. Here we go. All right, and see if we have any questions so far. Okay. So let's see, someone asked about simple tenses. So ma'am, we use simple present in subordinate clauses whenever there are simple tenses, just in case of simple tenses. I can put some examples with subordinate clauses in a few minutes. So when we make examples, I'll make some with some subordinate clauses. Okay, let's see. So what are indicator words that indicate that the tense is present progressive? I'm going to write that question. That's a great question. So let me write this here. This is from Rosa. What are the indicator words that indicate that the tense is present progressive? So first, if you don't know, present progressive is the same thing as present continuous. Some grammar books use the word present progressive and others use present continuous, but they're the same meaning. Okay, so if you didn't know that, that's okay, anybody who's watching. So Rose is asking, what are indicator words that indicate that the tense is present progressive? So these are words that you might see in a sentence that usually go together with present continuous. For example, words like now or currently are very often used in present continuous or present progressive. But, and we'll get to this in just a moment, it's not 100% connection. Sometimes we can use now with present simple. And I'll explain why in just a few minutes. But maybe, I don't know, 90 or at least 80% of the time, if you see a word like now or currently, you're probably going to use present continuous. Ooh, that was a good question. All right, let's see if we have any other questions. All right. Award goes to someone. Which kind of simple present tense? So let me write this sentence. Award goes to someone. Okay, so let me put this in a bigger sentence so we have a subject. Well, I'll just put an article. I'll put the. Like the award goes to someone. This means the award always goes to someone. Maybe the award goes to someone every year at the award ceremony, or the award goes to someone at every event, at every competition. The reason we use present simple is because we're talking about what usually happens with this award. So that's a good example question, or a good example sentence, and a good question about it. Let's see. Some more questions. Oh, someone asked about Vivek says, for present progressive, the words are have plus verb 3. Very close. That's not present progressive, that's present perfect. So let me write that here. So Vivek, present perfect, not progressive. Present perfect is the one where we use our subject plus have or has plus our verb 3. Verb 3 is our past participle. So I'll give you an example here of present perfect. Like, I have eaten sushi. Present perfect is a grammar that we'll study much later, but it's one of my favorite grammar points to teach because it's very complex, but very, very fun. Okay, but yeah, present perfect and present progressive are not the same thing. Progressive, right here, is just another word for continuous. Perfect is different. All right. So let's see. Oh, no problem. It's okay. I just wanted to make that clear for everyone. Okay. Yep, present continuous, present progressive are the same. Oh, we have a big question. When do we use while, when, and as? Okay, that's a big question too. Let me make this here. When do we use while, when, and as? Okay. Actually, there's many different grammar points where we can use these words. So we can use them in time conjunction sentences, time clauses. We can also use them for past grammar, like while we often use with past continuous. So I'm going to save this question, and if we have time, I'll talk about it a lot more at the end, but it's a really, really big question. But just know I'll give you one or two quick example sentences. Maybe he is eating while he is driving. So it's possible to use while with present continuous. We can also use it with present simple. While I study, he will play video games. So it's possible to use these words with both present simple and present continuous, but they have slightly different meanings. So hopefully we'll have time to talk about that much more at the very end of the lesson, but very good question. Okay, let's see. Any more questions about present continuous? Okay, it looks good right now. So let's keep going. I'll teach you some more rules for present continuous. We also have a practice that we can do together today too if we can finish all the rules. Okay, so here we go. Again, the difference between present simple and present continuous, the biggest difference, is that present simple talks about all the time. Present continuous talks about now. And we can compare with some examples. Okay, here's our first example. Oh, and my head's in the way again. So let's look here. It says Jake works a lot, but now he's playing soccer. So one of these verbs is something that he always does, and one of them is something that he does right now. So when it says Jake works a lot, we're talking about what he usually does. That's why we use present simple. But over here on the other side, where it says he's playing soccer, we're talking about just right now. This minute, right now. We have a couple more, I think, examples. Let's see. It says here, Danielle usually wears a t-shirt and jeans, but now she's wearing a dress. Again, for present simple, we use this to talk about what usually happens. When we talk about right now, we can use present continuous. I think I have one more example picture. Let's see. Good. We always eat inside, but today we're eating outside. Well, I guess it's not really always then, right? Almost always. So we almost always eat inside, but today we're eating outside. This first eat is present simple because we're talking about always. The second eat, eating, is present continuous because we're talking about now. So far, so good? All right. One more example picture. It says here, it often rains in this city, but it isn't raining right now. So it often rains in this city is talking about what usually happens. And then it isn't raining right now is talking about now or today. So you see this word often? And in the last one we had always, and then usually. Okay, and then here we said a lot. If you remember from last week, and actually let me put this here. Rosa asked, what are the indicator words that indicate that the tense is present progressive? And I answered that we often use words like now or currently. We also have indicator words for present simple. Present simple, we often use adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency are those words like always, sometimes, never, often, usually, blah, blah, blah. Those are adverbs of frequency. And then we also use things like a lot, or every day, or every week. Something that shows that it's a habit or something that we usually do. So these words are good indicators of present simple. So let me make these bold color. Okay. And then for present continuous, and I'll push this down a little. We have words like now or currently. All right, so I hope that helps a little bit. We have one or two more things to talk about. Here we go. Now, if you watched, I don't know if it was Mark's last video or if it's going to be his next video, but he either talked about or will talk about state and dynamic verbs. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today here too. It says here, certain verbs cannot be used in the present continuous. Use these verbs in the present simple even when you are describing something happening now. Whew. Okay, that's a lot of words. Let's make it easier. Let's make it smaller. In English, we have special verbs called state verbs. State verbs, we use simple grammar. We don't use continuous grammar. So for state verbs, these are special verbs. We use simple grammar. We don't use continuous grammar. I'll give you some examples of state verbs. Here we go. So these words are state verbs. They are not all the state verbs. There are more. We also have something called mixed verbs, which are verbs that are sometimes state and sometimes not. But for this level, here's a good list to help us get started. We have 12 verbs here. We have believe, forget, hate, like, love, know, mean, need, prefer, remember, understand, and want. So when we use these verbs, we don't use continuous. Okay, let me give you an example. Here we go. So we have the word want. Want is a state verb. So let's imagine we're talking about right now. So now I want some coffee. In Spokane right now, it's very early in the morning. It's like maybe 8 o'clock right now. So now I want some coffee. I don't say now I am wanting some coffee. So I'm talking about right now, and now is usually continuous. But for these verbs right here, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're talking about now or if you're talking about usually. These verbs, you're going to use simple grammar, not continuous. And that's true for present simple, past simple, future simple, present perfect simple. We're going to use these verbs. We don't use these verbs for present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, present perfect continuous. No, don't do it. These verbs always simple. Do we understand? Okay, so I'm going to check the comments for some questions, see how we're doing. Yep, so Navjot just said that Mark is going to teach today about state and dynamic verbs. So Mark will teach a whole lesson just on this topic. So good. So state verbs are like love, good. They indicate its status, good. The verb think can be used in both, that's right. So think is an example of a mixed verb. There's 7 mixed verbs in English. So have, think, see, smell, taste, feel. I think I missed one, but there are 7 mixed verbs in English. All right. Eating a glass of water. I want a glass of water. Okay, I want a glass of water. I am drinking a glass of water. Good. Very good. Yep, I want a glass of water is good. I am wanting a glass of water. No, that's a great example. So I'm going to write it on the notes here. So I want a glass of water. Perfect. I am wanting a glass of water. Nope. I like that in the chat you guys use the emojis, like the check mark and the X. That looks really cute and it's very easy to read. So good job. All right, so very good. Good examples, everybody. Okay, And I have some more examples on the slideshow too. So let's take a look. So here it says, thank you. I understand now. So we're talking about now, but understand right down here is a state verb. So we have to use the simple grammar. Or this question, what do you need? Maybe I mean right now. What do you need right now? But I have to use simple because need is a state verb. All right. And I think we have one or two more. It says, do you remember me? So here, remember is a state verb, so we use simple grammar. So how do you feel? Pretty good, right? Okay, so it's not on the presentation because usually we don't learn this until level 120, but I just want to explain for anybody who maybe can't take the class usually. There is another reason we use present continuous. So let me scroll down here. So to review, we use present continuous to talk about now. And I have a few examples. The first one says, Nicole is teaching English. So I'm talking about right now, this minute. You are listening now. So right now, this minute. And currently is an adverb. It's a synonym for the word now. So currently, we are studying together. So right now, we are studying together. Okay, so that's for now. We also use present continuous for, we say around now, but you can think of it as true for just a short time. True for a short time. And I have two examples for you. The first one says, I'm reading a good book. So this minute I'm teaching English, but I can still use present continuous because this is true for just a short time. So I started the book yesterday. I will finish the book tomorrow. So this sentence is true for just a short time. So it's okay if it's not this minute. You can use present continuous for things that are true for a short time. Maybe a few days or maybe 1 week. Maybe just a few minutes. We have one more example here. It says, he is living with his brother. But next week, he will get an apartment. So we can use this sentence with present continuous because it's true for a short time. Just this week. Next week, it will be different. All right. And there's one more reason we often use present continuous. And the Smrt didn't talk about it in this unit, but they will in a later unit. So we use present continuous to talk about future plans. And I have a few examples here. It says he is visiting Seattle next week. Or, tomorrow, I'm meeting my friend. Or, they are studying at SCEL, that's my school here in Spokane, next month. So here you can see it says next week, tomorrow, and next month. But the grammar is present continuous. So you can use present continuous to talk about your plans for the future. All you have to do is be very clear that it's future by adding a future time. So you can say next week or tomorrow or next month or on Monday. So as long as it's very clear that it's the future and you're talking about a plan, it's possible to use present continuous. In a later lesson, we'll learn lots of different ways to talk about the future. But just so you know, present continuous is one way you can talk about the future. All right, so let me take a quick look at the chat and see if we have any questions. Let's see. Oh, so Gobinda asked, can we use verb ing after to in a sentence? So let me write that here. Can we use verb plus ing after to in a sentence? And this actually brings up a very, very good point that I want to talk about. So before I answer that, I want to point out that verb ing is not always continuous. Continuous needs two things. We need a be verb, and then we need our verb ing. So two things to make continuous. Sometimes we use verb ing for other stuff. So for example, we can use verb ing for gerunds. Gerunds are verbs that we change into nouns. I'll give you a quick example. In the sentence, swimming is fun, the subject of this sentence is swimming. So swimming is actually a noun in this sentence. So anytime you change a verb to a noun, we also use that ing, but it's not continuous. So this sentence here is not continuous. This sentence is present simple because this is a subject and this is a present simple verb. Okay, we can also use verb ing for well, some adjectives look like verb ing. Like for example, exciting or boring. These are adjectives that look like verb ing. So they can be tricky too. But to answer your question, can we use verb ing after to in a sentence? Yes, but only if this verb ing is a gerund. So I'll give you a quick example. Compared to studying math, studying English is fun. So here, studying math is the object of this preposition to. Just like studying English is the subject of this clause right here. Does that make sense? So it is possible to see a verb ing after to, but it has to be a gerund after the preposition to, not a to infinitive. Okay? All right. So don't worry if that was a little bit confusing or if that's a little high level. Just know that today we're talking about continuous, and continuous we use be verb, am, is, are, plus verb ing. All right, that's a great question. Let's see if there's any more. Okay, let's see. Oh, so Kyle Fonseca asked, is the use of those verbs, I think he means state verbs, so is the use of the state verbs in present progressive acceptable for spoken English? So sometimes yes. So, for example, love is a state verb, but sometimes when we're speaking very casually, we'll say things like, I'm loving this song. It's not correct grammar, but we do say this sometimes in spoken English. So you're right. Sometimes we use state verbs with ing in continuous when we're speaking, but it's not good English. So don't write it. All right. So good question. Let's see. So let's see. Rithi asked, what is the difference between going to and present progressive? Oh, very good question. So going to is a different way that we can talk about the future. So very quickly, I'll explain the difference. So we always use present progressive or present continuous for very sure, very certain future plans. Like, I'm driving to Seattle tomorrow. Like, I'm very, very, very sure this will happen. We use going to or be going to for two different reasons in English. The first reason we use be going to is for future plans. It's a little less sure. It's a little bit more like 70% chance. So we could say, for example, I'm going to drive to Seattle tomorrow. And it's almost the same. This one is more sure, and this one is a little bit less sure. We also use be going to for another reason in English. We use be going to when we make a guess about the future based on something we experience now. I know that's a difficult topic, but I'll give you a quick example. So for example, if you look outside and you see gray clouds, so like I see gray clouds outside. Okay, and you make a guess, guess, that's my thought bubble here. You make a guess about the future. So I see gray clouds outside. It is going to rain. This is not my plan. This is a guess. And it's a guess because of something that I see or hear or smell or taste right now. And again, it's something that we'll study in a later unit too, the difference between be going to and present continuous for the future. All right. Oh, good. So, Kyle Fonseca says that there's a New Kids on the Block song that says, I'll be loving you forever. So good, very good. So it's kind of street style speaking. And we sometimes break the grammar rules conversationally, as Navjot said in the comments. So Vivek asked, I am reading a book tonight, or I am going to read a book tonight. Which one is correct? I'll write both of these here. I am reading a book tonight. I'm going to read a book tonight. Which one is correct? Both. You can say the first one, you can say the second one, no problem. You can choose. You can make it Vivek style. So sometimes we have choices. All it means is the first one is a little more sure, and the second one is a little bit less sure. That's all. But you can use whichever one you want. All right. And let's see. Oh, Rithi has a similar question. Oh, but this one uses a different phrase. So let me write it. I am about to go to bed right now. Or I am going to go to bed right now. Which one is correct? About to go, about to plus an infinitive is a special phrase in English for something that you will do in a very near time in the future. So anytime we use about to plus the infinitive, so our verb 1, we use this to talk about the near future, like maybe in the next 5 minutes. The next one is okay too. I'm going to go to bed right now. We don't usually like to say going to go to because we have two goes. So I would actually use present continuous for the future. I would say I am going to bed right now because I don't like to have go and then to and then to. But actually all three of these are just fine. You can say number 1, number 2, or number 3. All right, those are great questions. Okay, so let's see how much time we have. Oh, good, we have just enough time for us to do a little practice together. So I hope you remember present simple from before, because we're going to see if we should make present simple or present continuous. So let's look at our practice. Okay, here is our practice. Our directions say, complete the following sentences in either the present simple or the present continuous. So sometimes we'll use present simple and sometimes we'll use present continuous. Remember that for present simple, we're talking about always or usually. Present continuous, we're talking about right now. And if we have a state verb, we have to use present simple. So here's an example. It says, right now, I play video games. And we have to decide, should I use simple or continuous? So we're talking about right now, and our verb is play. Play is not a state verb, so we should use continuous. Continuous because it's right now. So I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to try to change these to simple or continuous sentences. I'll put on some of the beautiful monkey music for us to listen to. Let's see, here we go. Okay, so let's see how we did. So we're going to check them together now. So for number 2, we're going to use present simple. He never complains. Because the word never is an adverb of frequency. Adverbs of frequency show us that this is a habit or something that's true for a long time. All right, good. And let me change the color here so it's easy to see. Okay, so number 3, we're going to use present continuous. We're going to say, I am living here, but just for 1 week. We're going to use present continuous because this is true for just a short time. It's not true always, and it's not true for a long time. Okay, number 4, we're going to use present simple because believe is a state verb. So also this one's a question. So we have to remember, how do we make questions with present simple? We use do or does. So we're going to say, do you believe in UFOs? There we go, very nice. Do you believe in UFOs? Number 5, we're going to use present continuous. We're going to say, right now, she is sleeping. So this is because we're talking about right now and we don't have a state verb. Sleep is not a state verb. Okay, number 6, we are going to say, I don't want to eat dinner right now. We use present simple because want is a state verb. And to make negative sentences with present simple, we use don't or doesn't. Okay, number 7 says, he know Jack. We're going to use present simple, and it's a question. So we're going to say, does he know Jack? We use present simple because know is a state verb. All right, and we have one more. Number 8 it says, tonight we see a movie. We can use present continuous. We can say, tonight we are seeing a movie. Because we can use present continuous to talk about our plans for the future. You could also say, tonight we are going to see a movie, but that's a different grammar point that we'll study a little later. A different way to talk about the future is with be going to. So how did you do? It looks like in the chat that you did great. I saw many correct answers. And then Rosa says that UFO stands for unidentified flying object. That is correct. UFO is unidentified flying object. So a UFO is like an alien. Alien is like maybe like a monster or a creature from another planet. And then a UFO is like its spaceship or rocket. So unidentified flying object is usually the word we use to talk about spaceships or rockets for aliens. All right, so wonderful job everybody today. So I just want to remind everyone again, I'm going to scroll to the top here, that today we talked about present continuous, and that if you want to be a premium subscriber, if you want to get homework and feedback and copies of the class notes, at least I do that. I don't know if the other teachers do that, but I send the copies of all these class notes, tests, a certificate. If you want all of that stuff, you have to be a premium subscriber, and you can sign up at this website. I'm going to paste this in the chat. Here we go. So if you are interested, you can become a premium subscriber. So let's see. I just have one last question. Someone says, can I use tonight at the end or at the beginning? Are both correct? Both are correct. You can put the word tonight at the beginning of your sentence. Oops, let me put that here. Tonight we are studying. Or at the end of your sentence, we are studying tonight. At the end of your sentence, you don't need a comma. At the beginning of your sentence, you do. Okay, well, we're out of time for today. So thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate everybody joining us today. I had a lot of fun talking about present continuous, and I hope to see many more of you in the future. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.